From the BBC in London, this is Meridian.
And this is Nick Rankin. Hello. Now, how is the Indian film industry doing, do you think?
Well, not at all well. As you know, it's one of the oldest in the world and one of the most extraordinarily huge, but it's going through a very bad time at the moment. The popular Indian films have done extremely badly last year. In India itself, very, very few hits, perhaps about 4 or 5.
Is this because the audiences aren't going to the cinema?
Well, they're not going enough, and it's obviously because there's far too many films being produced. If you produce 700 or 800 a year, there's obviously going to be an awful lot of them which just do flop. And I think they're finding now they have very heavy tax burden to pay from the government. They're complaining about that, and they're complaining that video piracy too has taken a lot of the cream off the top of their profits. And of course, television is coming in India in a big way too, and that's a threat to them. And that means also that the serious Indian filmmakers, what they call the parallel Indian cinema, is also doing rather badly. They can't even get their films on in the cinemas because there's no alternative circuit. The Delhi Festival was a good festival full of international product and several good new Indian films, but they're all feeling that things aren't as they should be.
Not everything is gloomy, though. In Indian filmmaking circles, you come with the news that Satyajit Ray, the famous Bengali filmmaker, is making a new film.
Well, of course, Satyajit Ray is easily India's most famous film director. If you remember, he made the great Apu trilogy, one of the classics of the cinema. But he's 66 now, and he's had serious heart trouble in recent years, and he hasn't made a film for about 5 years. And now he's working on his own adaptation of Ibsen's Enemy of the People.
Now, that's the play about water pollution, isn't it? Set in a spa town, and a doctor discovers that the water is contaminated, but the people of the town, who make their living from water, don't want him to let the secret out.
Yes, that's right. I went over to Calcutta to talk to Satyajit Ray at his home, and I asked him why he'd chosen to adapt this particular play.
Actually, it's my cardiologist who is responsible for it primarily. Not the Ibsen play, but a film which could be shot entirely in the studio, because he feels that I'm still not well enough to shoot on location. There will have to be an ambulance and a doctor in attendance all the time. So I wondered what kind of film I could make. And then I suddenly remembered Ibsen's An Enemy of the People, which I had read while I was in college. And then I went back to it, I read it again, and it struck me that it could be adapted, and it could be shot entirely indoors. I was very excited, so it's the first time I've adapted a play, and I must say I'm enjoying the experience.
Now, it's a free adaptation, and it's a totally Indian adaptation. You find it very relevant to India now?
Yes, I do. It is set in a small town in Bengal, and the time is 1989. In fact, we're shooting exactly at the time when the story takes place. The characters are all there, with the exception of one, but they behave slightly differently in my version, because the story has a new angle. The thing about contamination and pollution and etc., it's all there. The doctor is there, his family is there, his brother is there, the conflict is there, everything is there. But since there is no spa here in India, I had to find something which would take its place. And so I eventually thought of a temple. And the temple water, the holy water, gets contaminated. And the doctor is anxious that people shouldn't drink it. And the underground pipe, which is broken, which should be repaired, etc. And then he's up against opposition, etc. That's how the drama develops.
So will people consider this quite a political film in that it's absolutely up to date and some of the problems are absolutely the problems of India now?
Yes, I think so, because pollution, water pollution, even a week ago it was in the papers that jaundice was has started appearing in certain areas in Calcutta where there is contamination. And this was happening in Delhi also. It was in the papers. So negligence in constructing the underground pipes and all that, that's why they're broken. That sort of thing is very much topical. And I think the play looks very modern indeed, in spite of the fact that it was written 100 years ago.
Satyajit Ray, who has just been awarded France's highest decoration, La Légion d'honneur, by President Mitterrand himself at a ceremony in Calcutta. He was talking to Derek Malcolm of The Guardian newspaper.